of Jail's Head, Book 1, Bloodkin, Chapter 22. Before I could organise any sort of meeting between Jeets and the Queen, something happened that almost made me forget clean about it. We'd finished class for the morning, were wandering back across the quad to the hall for lunch, when Anna rushed out of the solace wing of the academy. Her face was drawn, her skin ashen, if that's possible for someone already grey, and she looked as if she hadn't slept. "Kaiosh," she called. "Anya, what?" He noticed everyone had stopped to look, but he gestured them away. Lalitha shrugged and turned, leading the others back to the hall, but Anna reached out and grabbed Thomas's arm, and I stayed with them. "Oh, Kaiosh, it's... something very bad has happened. It's Fionnia. They..." She coughed suddenly, covering a sob. "They broke into her shop last night, just after she closed, and... they beat her." "What?" Charlie reached forward, but Anna stepped back. Thomas stood rigid, his face leech of blood. "Who is they?" "I don't know." Anna's voice was sharp with frustration and impotent rage. "And they stole all her black." Charlie's mouth fell open in horror. "What?" "Fiaka now. Oh, that's bad." Anna sniffed quickly and jerked a nod, the tendons in her neck taut with tension. "Fionnia is... she's still unconscious. The solids think she'll pull through, but..." She looked down and scrubbed at her face. "How much did they take?" "All of it." "Shit. This was bad. I didn't know how much of the black moss Fiona stored in her locked room, but this would be enough to... Hell, I didn't even know." But how did they get in?" "How do you think?" Anna said flatly. "But who would do that? No one with enough Yavin would steal or would attack someone. What would they want with the black?" Anna wobbled slightly, and Charlie rushed forwards to gather her up in his arms. "I don't know. I don't know." I'd never heard Anna sound so pitiful, so out of control. The whole thing gave me a sick feeling in my stomach. And poor Fiona. Charlie looked over Anna's head at me. Jazz, maybe you should go back to the hall. I'll take Anna home." No. Anna twisted in his grasp. "I have to stay with her." Charlie kissed her tenderly on the forehead, and I looked away, embarrassed to be privy to this private moment. "I'll stay with her," Thomas grumbled, the first words he had spoken the entire time. "Yes, Anya, you need to sleep. I'll come back and stay with Tommen. I don't think there will be classes later on." I didn't need to be told twice. When Charlie nodded at me, I took off towards the hall, as Charlie led a broken Anna back to her house for some blue in the oblivion of sleep. The attack on Fiona rattled everyone in the hall, but it seemed to hit Lalitha hardest of all. When we'd been attacked on Samhain, we'd been in the human area of the city, so we felt safe in the quarter. But now that safety had been shattered. When I told the others, they asked, predictably, if anything had been stolen. I surprised myself when I found myself telling them that it had just been some moss and a few pipes. I don't know why I didn't tell them about the black. Perhaps it just seemed like something Anna wouldn't want broadcast. Lalitha found me in my room later that afternoon, practicing my visibility cloaking. It somehow seemed incredibly urgent that I master it quickly. After I confessed to her about the theft of the black, she was silent for some time. "Jazz, do you get the feeling that something's happening?" She didn't have to explain. I knew exactly what she meant. All the things, the weird, horrible things that had happened, right back to those guards on the bridge before we even arrived in Lille, left me feeling something akin to dread. She left me then, to worry on my own until Charlie came back, looking exhausted. "How is she?" "Still the same," he sighed. "The solids are keeping her under, so her body has a chance to heal, but They really did a job on her, Jazz. Those bastard cunts. Anna found her, late that night. Any later and they wouldn't have been able to save her. I gave him a quick hug, but he shook me off. I've got to get back to Anna's. You'll be alright, won't you? Yeah, of course. Good. I'll see you later then. And he was gone, leaving me to wait, alone. 2 days later, Fiona woke up, and Lalitha and I went straight after class to see her. I feel like we should get her a bunch of flowers or something. Do Niathi women even like flowers? Lalitha asked me. Well, Fiona probably does, being a horticulturalist and all. Maybe a box of chocolates? Oh, yeah, much better idea. Want to go halves? So, box of chocolates in hand, we went to the solace swing. Fiona was sitting up in her bed, but she looked as if she'd been run over by a steam carriage. One eye was so badly bruised that she could hardly open it, and her nose was broken, swollen, and purple. Her left arm hung in a sling, and she turned her head stiffly as we entered her room. "Oh, hi! How are my favourite Bloodkin?" She sounded remarkably chirpy, considering. But then again, Fiona was always chirpy. "We're fine. More to the point, how are you?" "We bought you some chocolates." "Oh, yum, my favourite. Crack them open, will you, and we'll share them around. Hanyash and Jeets have popped out, but they'll be back soon." Oh, shit, Jeets. With everything that had happened, I had forgotten completely about the Queen's assignment. And I'm fine. A bit sore and all that, but the solids here really are marvellous. Fixed my nose and arm right up, and the Cyclop took a look at my brain, so there's no lasting damage, thank Lilwich. So now I've just got to wait for the swelling to go down, and I'll be right as rain. Really, she seemed far too chipper for a woman who had been unconscious for 3 days. She rummaged around in the box of chocolates. "Oh, peppermint, my favourite. Do you mind?" We shook our heads, and she popped the chocolate into her mouth. "Yum! Aren't you two just the sweetest?" Hayum popped his head around the door. "Oh, hello, you two. Keeping Fiona company, I see. How's the academy going? Jimmy keeping you out of trouble, Lalitha? "More like the other way around," she muttered, and the apprentice Solence laughed. "Huh, yeah, he's a bit like that, eh? Now, I just got to give our patient here a quick check-up." We got the hint. "We'll be back to visit later on, okay, Fiona?" "Okay, dears, thanks for stopping by, and for the chocolates." Her smile lit up her bruised face. As Hayum shut the door behind him, I paused. "Hey, Letha, you go on without me. I'm just going to wait for Jeets." She shrugged. "Righto. See you at dinner then." I didn't have to wait long as Jeets and Hanyash came down the hospital corridor, carrying a huge bunch of flowers. I hoped Lalitha hadn't seen them. Jeets, could I please have a word?" Hanyash glanced at me curiously but didn't comment, and waited outside Fiona's room while Jeets and I strolled back down the hall. "So what's this about then, young Jesseth?" Shit, I hadn't even thought about what I was going to say to him when I got the chance. "Okay, be discreet. I have a friend." "Yes, that's a good start. What does this friend want?" He helped me along. "Well, she wants to meet with you." The big man chuckled. "Oh, an assignation. May I know the name of this friend?" I'm supposed to be discreet." Jeets raised one big caterpillar eyebrow. "Well, this friend of yours sounds very interesting. Very interesting indeed. You know where I live, yes? Good. I'm there every evening. Bring your friend whenever you like." "Okay, thanks." I let out a rush of air. "See, that wasn't so hard. Now, how is our dear Phinia doing? Bad business with the black, that." "She seemed fine." surprisingly fine. Well, that's Finia for you. I'd best go catch up with the fair high priestess. I'm sure I'll be seeing you again soon. Jeets nodded at me and strode off, and I escaped the hospital, my head full of my next problem: how to contact the Queen. Turns out I needn't have worried, because when I entered the hall, Mineve waved me over. Jessith, dear, you have a letter. A courier dropped it off this afternoon. She handed me a plain envelope with Lord Jessith of Jaleshead written in plain, neat script on the front. I waited until I was alone in my room before ripping it open. Inside was a brief note. Jessith, I trust the arrangements are in place. Meet me at the bridge at sundown tomorrow. YM. The next day I was hopelessly distracted, completely failing with the Hyavan exercise Billy said. When class finished, I hurried home for a quick bath, and as the sun was dipping in the sky, I dashed out of the hall, leaving Charlie a brief note to say that I would be back soon. I walked briskly through the quarter and down to the lakeside promenade, to the bridge to the castle. When I got there, however, I only saw a Neathi woman sitting on the bench by the bridge. I scanned the area for the Queen, but the woman stood and walked over to me. She was wearing a plain black robe with the hood pulled up, and she had dark grey skin. It was only when I looked closely at her that I could see her eyes, heavily rimmed with kohl, were a clear slate blue, and I realised with shock it was Thayalik. Oh, Your Majesty. Didn't see you there. And a good day to you, Lord Jessith. The slight emphasis on my title and the twitch of her lips made me think she was definitely laughing at me. Shall we go? Please. I offered her my arm and she took it, her long fingers, hidden inside gloves, resting lightly on my elbow. I could have walked with her for hours. She played her question game with me. By the time we reached the bottom of the gondola, I told her all about Jaleshead, what my parents were like, my tutors, even some basics of viticulture. She laughed frequently and I relaxed. In the cable car we got out at Jeets' stop and I led her across the two bridges and through his gate. Jeets himself opened the door when I knocked, ushering us quickly inside. Jessith grinned. Please, come up to the library and we'll have a little chat. Jessith, go find Lux in the kitchen. It's just through there. She'll fix you up some refreshments. Jeets guided the Queen up the stairs, leaving me to find Lux. Jeets' kitchen was a warm, cosy space, and Lux was perched on a stool, hunched over the paper which was spread out on an informal dining table. She barely looked up as I walked in. Don't get to play with the big kids this time, Jessith. She needled me, but I refused to rise to the bait. Jeets mentioned something about you fixing me some refreshments. Oh, did he just? Well, there's wine in the cooler and glasses up in that cupboard. Help yourself. Okay. I opened the lid of the cooler and pulled out a bottle of a nice Jaleshead Pinot Gris. Do you want one? Go on then, she told me, still reading the paper. I poured the two glasses and handed one to her. She tucked her long hair behind one ear and pointed at the paper. Look at this. More Mingles have gone missing. And there's been an assassination. What? Who? Some anti-Neathi government guy. Pretty minor by the sounds of things. There are anti-Neathi people in government? I was shocked. Why would anyone be anti-Neathi? Well, duh. They can do magic, you know. Spooky shit. She told me facetiously. Was it, Anya? She snorted. Hardly. Arrow right through the eye. She seemed to take some grim satisfaction in this. So? So that's not how Yarvasalian operates. Don't you know anything? They create accidents. Normal, everyday deaths. Like heart attacks, brain aneurysms, that sort of thing. And no matter how much of a cunt this guy might be, he's still government. And you wouldn't touch a contract like that with a barge pole. Oh. I sipped my wine in silence and waited for the Queen, as Lux did her best to ignore me. Finally, Jeets poked his head into the kitchen. We're all finished now, Joseph. Thank you. As I gratefully got up to leave, Lux didn't even acknowledge me, so I shrugged to meet the Queen in the hall. She was quiet the whole trip down in the gondola, lost in thought. When we finally reached the bottom and disembarked, I offered her my arm for the walk back to the castle. I thought I would try a questioning technique. So, what's with the disguise? She chuckled, that warm, low sound that sent fire running to my crotch. Oh, this? Do you like it? Well, of course. It's different. A small security precaution. You were fooled there for a second by the bridge, weren't you? I nodded. Good. So, why did you have to get me to organise the meeting? She smiled patiently at me. Well, Minjeet's deals in information, among other things, not strictly legal. I thought it would be more productive if a trusted friend made the introductions. But how did you know that I knew Jeets? Huh. And that's what spy masters are for, yeah? Oh, well, you could have asked Hanny Ash, I said, trying to shock her, but she laughed again. I could have, but this was much more fun. I felt myself blushing furiously. The Queen thought I was fun? So, did you, get what you came for? Thailek hesitated before answering. Well, yes and no. Jeets claims to be as much in the dark as anyone else about this recent spate of attacks. The theft of the Black Moss concerns him greatly. Do you know much about it? The moss, I mean, not the theft. Well, only what they've taught us in the academy. It's highly potent, can drive a man crazy. I thought of Joey and Lux. It's used to help you access your Hyavan. It gives you more power. Have you used it yet? Oh, no. I think it's part of our graduation or something, but we're forbidden to use it until then. The Queen considered this. So why would someone want to steal so much of it? I don't know. I'm asking this seriously, Joseph. Think about it. I suppose... Well, I know of a guy, a long time ago, who stole a little bit, but he just went crazy. I suppose if you were trying to access more of your Hyavan, then maybe... Exactly. What? You think someone is planning to... But with who? And why? The Queen sighed. The why, I don't know. But where do you think all those mingles have been disappearing to? Oh, hell. But who would do that? Another thing I don't know. I thought Jeets might have some answers, but whoever they are, they're being extremely cautious about secrecy. This is bad. More a statement than a question, but Thailek nodded. It could be. But we don't know yet what they're planning. Jeets will do his best to find out, but until then, we just have to wait. When she reached the bridge, she disengaged from my arm and looked at me closely. Thank you for this. You're welcome, Your Majesty. She smiled, amused at my reluctance to let go of her title. Look after yourself, Lord Jazeth. That slight emphasis on the Lord again. And look after your friends. I heard what happened on Samhain. Oh, did you? That was nothing, really. She raised an eyebrow. Still, I'm pleased you came to no real harm. Farewell, Jazeth. I hope our paths will cross again soon. As the last of the light fell from the sky, she stepped onto the bridge and left me. I hurried home to my dinner with an awful lot to think about, not least her parting words. She wanted to see me again. End of chapter 22. Yeah. Oh ho.